To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the first agenda item is reorganization of the board. I'll turn the meeting over to Kristen. She can ask for nominations.
Hey, you sure you want to do that? Could be dangerous.
Well, we'll take control back. Don't worry about us.
Okay, good. It's only temporary. I
Yeah.
understand. So I would accept a motion for nominations for chair.
I would like to nominate Brett Simus.
I would very happily second for nomination.
Could I also make another nomination? I would like to nominate Laura Head as vice chair. You can be buds.
You can have, in that way, if somebody has to miss a meeting, you have an automatic person who can run the meeting. It's entirely at your purview.
Second that motion for sure.
All in favor?
Aye, unanimous. Congratulations, Brett. The gavel is yours. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Maureen, good thinking. You make the motion and you don't get motioned.
That's right.
That's right.
I think that was a
Figure
given.
that
We get to move the name
I
tag.
was gonna say, I'm gonna move the name tag too, just to make
Name
sure.
tag. You're in the big chair.
This is it.
Good boy, Chair Brett. Congratulations.
Ready for this?
I think more so than, thank you.
Yep.
We appreciate it. We have faith.
You're not gonna use that thing. He should.
That's not gonna be my first duty as a board chair here, I'll tell you that. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate the confidence and the support. Next on the agenda, we have electronic voting discussion.
Mr. Chair, if you could just hold for one moment, we are having a camera issue.
Okay,
Why? Because I don't think perhaps what's going on outside.
Right.
Yeah.
It just disappeared, the whole camera option. Everyone's got moved around.
The cords got moved?
Yeah. we got to-
I don't.
Oh,
I-
Uh-oh.
I don't know, it's our laptop cords. I don't think this has.
It's a laptop cord.
This-
We didn't touch.
That's doing slow.
Folks can still hear us and we can hear them. We just
They just
cannot,
See
they
that?
cannot see us. We can see them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here they come.
You are hearing us correctly, right? Dennis, could you confirm that you can hear us?
All.
Yeah. Okay,
They should be able to hear us.
Yes, I can hear you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Should be all set,
All set?
at least till the next Thunder rolls.
That's right, exactly. Okay, electronic voting discussion.
Share the documents. Yeah, full screen. Yeah.
Are you gonna leave?
You
Still
want-
paying attention.
You're gonna start us off here, give us some context.
I can, absolutely. So we obviously, for those of you who came to town meeting, well, know we did have an issue with the electronic voting system. We have since reached out to the company Meridia that manages and designs the voting devices. And the problem stemmed from the devices we borrowed from Grafton and the devices from Berlin not speaking properly to one another. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, sorry. Upton.
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip.
Yeah.
We did that too in Berlin, so that's where that's coming from. So the two devices, there was a receiver for Upton and a receiver for Grafton. They were not speaking to each other. They come in automatic mode, and that's not something that anyone would have known. But the modes have to be switched to something called match mode. So this is something we now know. The company was we apologized profusely. Obviously, this is not something we want to happen to continue. I can share from personal experience. I've worked with Meridia in 3 communities for about 10 years, and this has not happened yet. So it really was a compatibility issue between the different devices from the different communities. So with that, I have a few recommendations that we can consider for how to move forward. Would you like me to go through those, or would you like me to
Yeah.
pause? Okay.
Yeah, or if folks have any initial questions or comments? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my recommendation would be that we invest some funding in purchasing an additional 300 devices. We could go as high as 500. I'm waiting for some pricing on that. I can tell you when we initially purchased the system for 300 devices, it was about $10,000. I imagine that price has gone up a little because that was 2024. So the company is getting me some pricing there. I did ask what our largest meeting was that we ever had, and the moderator had informed me that the high school, I believe, in 1999.
Thereabouts, yeah, it was about 780. It was at Valley Tech in the cafeteria. The same night, Mendon also had their town meeting because they wanted them on the same night. It's about the 3 brand new schools, Memorial, Club, and the high school. It was about 1997, 8.
So if you say 800, that is cutting it maybe a little close to the highest turnout that we've ever had. You could look to 1,000, so I'm going to get pricing for both of those. The other recommendation I would have is looking into perhaps having Meridian come out for the fall town meeting. They will travel. I will say they travel from Pennsylvania. You do have to pay the cost of travel, putting them up, all of those things. I also would speak to them about the possibility of having like an on-call kind of situation, but without them really being able to see the system if there were to be an issue, which I don't expect to happen, especially if we use all of our own devices. The only way to really ensure that would be on site. I can say that, having run the system myself personally, I have confidence in that company and in that system. I know that folks have had some concerns, but I think we've found the source of the issue, and those are some of my recommended options for moving forward.
Through the chair, may I ask you a question?
Of course.
Would Meridia be willing, because this was such an unusual situation, would they be willing to come on the gratis or at a deep discount
I
for
can
fall?
ask.
I mean, this was nothing anybody expected. It's only our 3rd time using them, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they should stand behind their product. I think they should come and make sure for the fall. And then, 10,000 is a lot because we haven't had a meeting like that in 26, 27 years. I think in the future, if we tend to know when we're going to have a huge crowd, we plan to have them on site.
And certainly ask that question.
Yeah.
I would agree with you before we go out and purchase more clickers for $10,000. And this was an easy fix, even though it disrupted everything. And I would be willing to have them come out on site if we ever have. I mean, how often do we get a crowd that big at town meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I don't think we need to rush to buy 300 more clickers. I don't anticipate fall or even springtime meeting next year having the turnout that we had, this go around. I think it's, I'd want to, before we invested in a quantity that would be a once every 15 or 20 year utilization, I'd want to know what's the lifespan on these things? Do they last 50 years or do they last 5 years? Because if they only last 5 years, then I don't want to sit on 300 or 400 extra devices that we're just going to have to replace in 4 years anyway. So I think that's one of the questions I would have before we put the money into it. So, I mean, I think it's good. I saw the email. It looks like we got to the root cause of what the issue was. I think we also had audio issues, so I don't think this was just a problem with the clickers in terms of having that second room in the gymnasium. So, I do think there's some opportunity to address that challenge if we need to open up a second room or have that capacity available to us. Do we say, you know what, we're just going to move everybody into the gym so we can have everybody in one space? We're going to put in 500 chairs and have 200 people sitting in the bleachers so that we're in one room. Because what I don't want to do is solve the clicker problem, have a meeting with 800 people in it, have 300 people in the gym that can vote like crazy, but can't hear what we're saying. Or what the town moderator is saying. Right, so that was also part of the problem that we were having.
Okay, I didn't realize that there was an audio issue, so I appreciate you bringing that to my
Yeah.
attention.
Right,
And through the chair, I'd like to commend all of the people in the audience, the patience, the tolerance, everybody was truly exceptional. We could have had a mini riot and people were just so understanding and it truly was a pleasure to sit up on stage while while we were scrambling to watch everybody's maturity and patience. And I thought it needed to be noted. I think it should be too.
you know, and I want to also recognize all of the residents that I've heard from since town meeting. Several people were complimentary. Several people frankly were a little surprised. It was their first town meeting. They had never been to a town meeting before. And they didn't walk away impressed. I spoke with one gentleman who had his wife texting him because she was home with 3 young children, asking him where he was, and it was 7:45, and like we hadn't even voted on anything, so he had to leave the meeting to go take care of his kids without getting to vote on the things he wanted to vote on, because he wasn't sure when we were ever going to get going or what was happening. And so that's obviously just one example, but I'm sure there were other people that walked away a little disappointed. So I'm, I don't know how we address those people or whether we issue some sort of very sort of pithy apology, recognizing what happened, recognizing people's time is valuable, the importance of coming to these meetings. Personally, I just feel like, and I know it's technically the moderator's meeting, right? But like, that's not necessarily what people see. What people see is people sitting on stage and the town collectively running a meeting. And there were some people who walked away not particularly impressed with our ability to run a meeting. And I don't like to say that and sort of be the bad guy, but I think it's important because a lot of people walked away with that thought and feeling like, hey, this is my town, this is my local government. I came here to engage and this is what my experience is. And, it's not what any of us would shoot for, but it's also how do we learn? How do we fix it? How do we come back and make sure that the next time people show up and re-engage, they have a great experience like they would have had at the past, at least from my perspective, the past 12 meetings I've been to, right? That have all sort of, or 24 meetings, I guess, 12 years worth of meetings, right? So that have all been great, right? So this really was exceptional. It was unfortunate that it was exceptional at a time with such a large audience.
I agree.
Yeah, it really was.
So we'll get there. We'll get there. It's all good. Resilient.
I just offer some comments, please, if I could,
Please, Mr. Moderator.
Dave.
Yeah.
Especially pleased. I did.
I'm wondering, can the audience hear Mr. Leeper or should he move closer to a microphone?
I can hear him fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, thank you. First of all, through the chair, I'm pleased to hear the board talk about the fact that before we spend a tremendous amount of money, especially having them come up here, that's a lot of money to spend, to have somebody come up here for, quite frankly, maybe this is overstating it, but when we bought this in the first place, I don't know whether we were aware that if we borrowed things, we are gonna have to do something special. If we were not made aware of that, we should have been made aware of that. So that's a really important point, okay? Secondly, whether we buy more things now or not, that's obviously a tough call to make, because you're right. The only other big meeting we had was the Sweet William Farm. Even that was around 500. Okay, so when I think about sizes of meetings, there would all, in my 30 years or so, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 meetings where we'd have more than 500 people. All right. Having said that, though, want to be sure of something and we don't have to borrow, then we got to pony up the money, I guess, right? So having said all these things, by and large, I am pleased with the way the townspeople handled the situation. It seemed to go well, and after the fact, but I will say this, and I talked with the town clerk, so I won't speak for her, but we talked about it. We collectively must make sure before the fall town meeting that all 500 if we have 500. Clickers work. And they work in a like large, all at once, everybody pressing the buttons, okay? There is a way to do that. And interestingly, 2 or 3 of us were thinking the exact same thing without talking to each other. How do you do that? Well, you do it with a bunch of people. Who's a bunch of people? High school kids, okay? So I think it's important that we arrange for the next town meeting to get together, talk to the superintendent, talk to the principal and say, period 8 on day whatever. The kids will love that. You get a day off, get together. They appear at office school, meet, work out, make sure they work, and do a little Q&A about what town meeting is, so on and so forth. So we can kill a whole bunch of birds with one stone if we do that. So, so I think it's important that we keep that in mind as we're moving forward. While I'm happy with the answer from Meridian, there's a part of me that's thinking, wait a minute, we should have known this. We should have known this. And if we didn't, then it's on them for not letting us know this.
If I may, through the chair, I know I believe they came in when Joe was town manager, and we were told we could borrow other towns. We were never told
That's right.
about the 2 different bases. We were never told about the auto mode versus the manual mode. We were told very simply, don't worry, you can borrow from other towns.
It's gonna make the same point, which is, it
Yes.
is no secret that we were gonna be using other towns' equipment.
That
was
is,
made-
and that's
that
what
was
was
absolutely
because we
part
said.
of the
we
original
find
plan.
500,
Right.
And they assured us we would have no issues.
Through the chair, that's one more reason why we shouldn't have to pay them any money to come up here, quite frankly.
Right.
As a taxpayer.
Yeah.
I'm saying this.
I do see someone with their hand raised on the phone. Why don't you go ahead and comment?
That's David Brooks, 3 Cranberry Circle. Jeannie is with me here. Queuing a little bit off what Mr. Loper said and what happened at the town, what happened at the town meeting. If comes November and the test vote doesn't record the same number of votes as there are people checked into the meeting, what happens? I mean, I've already mentioned to Mr. Laper that a point of order would be in order, because how do I know my vote has been counted? If there are 300 people checked into the meeting and only 299 votes show up on the tally when we do the test vote, asking everybody to press their buttons, explaining how important it is, then I have a problem.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not sure. I think we should ask the vendor that question because, right, because it could also be that there's one person that just didn't click a button.
Yeah.
Right, and you never know if that 1 or 2 vote difference is just someone that's not listening, not paying attention. They're texting their kids, they're talking to their wife at home, or they're talking to their husband at home, and so there's no real way for us to troubleshoot that in the moment to be like, oh, wait, everybody clicked the button. So I don't know what the strategy would be other than obviously to go to a voice vote.
Through the chair, I know that, I don't know if people realize, when you look at the clicker, the top button, whether it be yes or no, is number 1. The bottom one is number 2. And when it records your vote, it shows the number on the screen and the word okay, which means it went to the base and it was reported.
Yeah. Right, so there's a little bit of feedback in the clicker, but there's still, right, to your point, right? Like if we say, hey, everybody click yes, and everybody 299 out of 300 click yes, and 1 doesn't, we don't know what that is. And there's no way for us to troubleshoot it. Go ahead, Mr. Moderator.
Yeah, and through the chair again, that's one of the things that we would want to do at the school with the kids, is to ring that up as best we can.
Yeah.
I guess in a way, I was thinking to myself, the only real technical problem that I would accept is if a battery fails on a clicker. If that happens, that's a legitimate issue, but that's not a system issue, that's one particular clicker. And if that does happen, and we know which device is the one that failed because of a battery issue, then we could easily say, well, who's got clicker so-and-so? It looks like your battery's not working, we get another clicker, we hand it to them.
That's another question we have to ask the vendor, because I'll tell you what, if you're telling me that we've got to make sure that 500 batteries are working before town meeting, so that we, yeah, like I don't think it's, I hope there's no battery dying issues. So let's clarify that to your point.
Absolutely.
We need to have answers because people will have questions. So we need
But
to.
David Brooks, again, I think what was from what Mr. Laper just said, if he could also tell everybody, check your clicker says okay. If it does, we guarantee it has been recorded. And then it's up onto you. If your clicker doesn't say okay, then your vote hasn't been recorded. If it says okay, it has. Then there's no need for my point of order. Then I know my vote has been recorded. I'm happy. So if that's
Great.
clarified at the meeting, I think I withdraw my objection.
Thank you. Great to know. Thank you for the feedback. Go- oh, sorry.
Maybe ask the town, how long did they give you a life expectancy of these batteries?
And they finished last 5-6 years, maybe longer than that. And we do have extra batteries for that issue, but I think you put this point. We need to make clear, getting these out to people who are testing, that they understand what to look for on it. I'm gonna make sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not to get into too, I know Chris and I have talked with Maria too. There are other ways you can display on the screen when people are voting. Each clicker has a unique number. But, you know, to put 500 numbers up on the screen to see if your clicker is reading, it can be done.
Yeah,
It's just gonna be minuscule, but it's
Yeah.
something that we could do.
but if it's in numerical order, people can actually see and sort of hone in on it. And
And we
if someone asks, we can say, yeah, you're number 272 and it's up there.
Yeah, you have to do that maybe for the test vote and make sure everything's registering.
That's right.
Have that big screen up.
I think
They
that
like
Good.
this ones.
through the chair, I
Yeah.
think the other thing that would be important is for the moderator to say, if anyone has concerns about their devices, please go back to the check-in. And I'm sure that
Right,
the
they
town
can
clerk,
explain to you.
the town clerk will be happy to swap it out for
Right.
another device.
Right, or explain what you're looking at or confirm that it's.
I think we need to do a better job of that, and maybe it's just how the clickers work, what you should be looking for to make sure. Yes.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Lynn Haggerty through the chair. So it's on the original electronic. And one of the things was, I think, was what we found out is they give more information to the people. So the moderator had created, a document for information about town meeting. The document about electronic voting, I noticed getting people like handing out the clippers. What are these for? What do they do? If we had a slide or we had something, on the website under the moderator, the town clerk, whatever, this is just an explanation
Yeah,
of how to use some of that to start things up.
Yeah.
Just.
yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of opportunities there. One is like to have some physical copy of like here's an FAQ and information
Right.
on your electronic voting.
Right,
Or a QR code to something on the website. So we put the electronic voting information on the website with the FAQs. So at any point, at any time, people can go and look at it and read it and see all the information, all the technical detail, how we confirm it's working versus not working, what all the instructions are. And then you could potentially link people there with a QR code or something and or give them something physical to look at. But
We could include that as part of the warrant.
yeah,
Does the chair have one more question? Do we have it in the bylaw, we adopted electronic voting? What's the bylaw, say if electronic voting should go down? What we should have like, then I know there's a procedure, whether we go to the voice vote, whether we go to the cards. I think that, I don't know if there's a bylaw in place, so somebody can answer that, probably. What we've done for.
the best evidence I have is what we did. So that's all I would say is
And
the
so it is
electronic
in the
voting
bylaw,
sounds-
this Process that if electronic voting fails, we go to, I think it's.
To the voice vote.
We can go back to. I think this
Yes.
this step by step.
Okay.
Yes.
It's definitely there.
Okay, I thought it was, I missed it.
Yeah.
Well, through the chair too, there is a ballot that they can do to
Right.
pass out. And I thought there was something in the bylaw, general law, like the red and green cards and the voice vote. Can you find out something about that too? Risk.
Meaning if we have it laid out in the bylaw,
Not only in the bylaw, I think it's in the general laws.
okay. Check, and the master MGL.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mr. Moderator.
through the chair, since the issue about the cards came up, let me just say something, and I know everyone won't agree with me here, but I think it's an important point to think about. So let me do a quick history. Before COVID, we did voice voting, and then if the voice wasn't there, we'd stand. Okay, no problem. But throughout COVID, we did one people, so then we did the cards, okay? And I moderator who tended to want to avoid using the cards unless we had to. Well, once we started using, felt comfortable with them for this one particular reason. It allowed me to be 100% sure on voice votes that in the past, I was not 100% sure about. As an example, you have 100 people voting. If it's a voice vote and it sounds like it's 60-40, I can't make that call. I might think it's yes, but I'm not 100% sure. When I look at 60 green cards go up, 40 red cards go up, I am 100% sure that that passed.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. 55-45, maybe it's not quite there, but that's my point. So once we adopted the cards, I said to myself, let's keep these cards because it is actually better than voice because of the fact that I can now better make a call that's not super close, but closer.
Yeah.
Even though we know that in Upton,
We just need to put an R and a G on the card so that people that are colorblind know what
well,
card they're reading.
fair enough. So having said all this though, and this is gonna sound contraindicated, but it's not, and let me explain why. If we're gonna use the clickers, and we should use the clickers, okay, the backup has to still be the voice.
Yeah.
And, which it is. And let me just explain why if I could, and people who might not understand my logic here. Someone's coming to a town meeting, we hand them a clicker, this is what we use. If somebody also then hands them a green card and a red card, what does that say to this person? We don't have confidence that the clickers are gonna work. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So we either use the clickers, knowing that they're gonna work, because we've tested them out, and we'll test them off anything with as close to 100% certainty as we can have, okay? If it doesn't work, I'm sorry, we do the voice, and we do it the way that we've been doing it. But we don't want to hand out both things at the same time, because
I agree.
it doesn't send confidence
I
to the
agree.
people. So I just want to make sure that that's out there, that I've thought about it, and hopefully the board agrees with me on that. I don't know, but just.
Chair again, in all fairness, if you think you have a 60-40 vote,
Right,
you can do a standing vote, and we always had counters
Yeah.
to count them. That takes away the red and green cards. It should.
oh, yes, what you're saying, is that's right. So if I'm hearing the voice, and I think it's 60-40, we'll have a standing vote. No problem, and we've done that, and we can still do that, right? So that's why I'm saying, if we're gonna use the clickers, it's clickers, backup is voice. Okay, but
Or
that's,
standing voice.
well, or standing if the voice doesn't work, but that's all part of the routine, yes, absolutely, 100%.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, I just want to interject one thing. We're just trying to figure out how we're gonna fix it. Before, when the clippers didn't work, I just like to make the suggestion that we're gonna go to any alternate method. If that ever happens again, and, I suggest that we make an announcement that anybody that needs an accommodation at that time, we're gonna take a 10-minute break and please see the town clerk. That way, anybody in the room that needed an accommodation is taken care of. We couldn't plan for it in this situation, but going forward, so thank you.
Right, because at that point, if you're gonna be taking the time to switch from clickers to voice vote, like, you're going through a transition anyway, so that's a
Right.
perfect time to say, hey, while we're doing this, it's sort of a resetting, anybody that needs an accommodation, go talk to the town clerk and we'll figure it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Chair, I would take that one step further. I would print in the front of the town meeting booklet a statement directing voters who need reasonable accommodation to contact our office 72 hours at least prior to the meeting, and we can even
Just to
state
catch some people that way.
in case of voice vote or,
Yeah.
just please, that way you're not having to call people out
Yeah.
at the meeting. I mean, in all honesty, I don't expect this to happen again. My experience tells me that this is, an unusual IT situation, but I think it's good to be prepared. It doesn't hurt to offer that accommodation upfront and tell people where to call.
Very good. All right, anything else? Okay,
Can I make
good.
this one more?
Oh, please.
One more just general comment. we did ask these questions of the company. It wasn't like we just expected them to work. They were gonna respond in a timely manner from the company, so, yeah, we went with what we knew was that we would borrow clippers and then have receivers and
Yeah.
we didn't know some of the finer details to it, so. Lessons learned, as they say, and then,
And I mean-
that we won't make this mistake.
And certainly, we appreciate that, but also like the company knew too, when we bought these, that we were planning on sharing. So that should have been like a big red, they should have like a big red folder that says, here, you're gonna share different
I
kind
have
of stuff
a
here.
question.
I was gonna say, before you do that, they should come out graphs, because we asked and they didn't tell us. And you know what, you only know what you know, and you don't know, excuse me, are we gonna have a technical issue?
Yeah,
But last year, when we voted the 33 million for the school, we borrowed clickers.
We didn't
We
need.
didn't use them.
we didn't use
Oh, there wasn't enough people.
Another point, though, we've had two over 600 meetings in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
2022 was our last year.
Yeah.
good.
The chair, to that
Yes.
point, it may be worth even another 200 clickers. And you could put an article out of free cash on fall town meeting, so it doesn't have a raise and appropriate impact on taxpayers, just a thought.
Yeah,
I would agree with buying more.
yeah,
Well,
Just saying.
cross that bridge when we get there.
yeah, I think we can cross that bridge when we get that, right? And find out what the lead time is on getting them, and if we have to,
Send the price.
and if we get them, do they need to be, right, like, there's a whole process of, do they need to be programmed, added, or how does that?
It's not being
Systems.
auto
Right.
match.
Yeah, well, that would eliminate any auto match mode issue.
Exactly. Okay, great. Next up, we have Men's Club, Welcome to Upton signs.
So, thank you. I want to thank the Board of Selectmen and the town manager for entertaining the Upton Men's
Yeah.
Club again.
I'm smarter.
Before you, a couple of weeks ago, we apologized. We thought that our time was at 7, it was at 6. So, Bill is here and Steve is here. Bill is going to give you a presentation on the Upton signs and take it, Bill.
Thank you. So on the overhead, you can see, I want to give a little bit of background on Upton Men's Club and then just quickly go through gardens and everything we've done. So this is a flyer from last year. We do a mailing to the community and it outlines a little bit of the things we do. Again, this is a 25 flyer. I apologize, but just so you get a sense of the types of events that we run. The next page. Again, shows you some of the types of things we've donated to the community and to the schools. So next slide. Welcome to Upton Signs. So back in the day, I saw that Hopkinton had one of these and I thought it was beautiful. So I went to the police station. I said, who built it? So they told me the lady who coordinated it. They told me, and I met her and she told me the sign vendor and I met him. So, okay, we got an idea here. Now, how do you do this? Okay, and after several go-arounds trying to think about where and how you did, Curly Tatro said to me, the DPW director at the time, he goes, it's a town sign and a town right away. We can do whatever we want. Great. So we start off on this project and then the selectmen asked that I come back with a letter from each actual landowner. Okay, that they were cool with the project and every one of them signed it. Okay, so the Board of Selectmen has that somewhere. So how do we do it? So those days, real estate was kind of robust and I had a lot of developers and I raised all the money to build those. So to buy the signs, the posts, the stones, the flowers, the whole thing. And then the men's club was fairly new then, but I presented this idea to the club and said, would you guys be the labor? It'd be a great thing for us to get our fingerprints on. So that's kind of how it all came together. The next slide. So there are one more slide, sir. Okay, so we did 7 of these, and there's the locations where they all are. We did each of the roads coming into town, pretty much, welcome you as you come. We didn't get every road, but we got the big ones. 140 was a little bit of a challenge because it's a state highway, but I met with the state district up in Worcester and they approved it, so we were able to build those. Next slide. So other things we've been doing, and it's really this guy right behind me, Mike Campbell, all these street gardens that you see in town. So I put that there's 8 or 9 of them there, depending, because I didn't know when I'm going to present this, because the last one on the list is something that was approved last year by Dennis, and we didn't get to it yet. So it's on 140 by Hartford Ave South, across from the liquor store, times big as this desk. it'd be a nice spot though for it. So those are the street gardens that we do. All the money from the beautification fund that we make a request each year pays for all this. We get all the plants at commercial cost. And what's the name of that place? Quebecchio. Quebecchio. So Mike runs over there with his own truck and gets all the stuff and does all this work for us. Next slide. I guess a few people have seen this, but it's the flower pots that we have in a few locations. And my understanding is recently the town hall has accepted the responsibility to water the ones out front. So that leaves the 2 other locations, and we've talked to Dennis about it before, and it didn't happen last year. And we're hoping summer hires come on, maybe they can do it. But there's the math right there. So it's 5 pots, it's 20 gallons of water a week is what that looks like. So that's the kind of help we're asking for. 3 times a week is a lot for any one person to do it, but we think the DPW trucks are driving around all day, so. At any rate, so that's what that is, and there's one more slide that has a link on it here to the Google Docs. And our green thumb guy, Mike Campbell here, his daughter put this together. First, you can hit that link. That'd be a better picture than that.
Nothing.
did a great job.
Well, at any rate, what is in that is another bit of a presentation that includes pictures of more of the Welcome to Upton signs and more of the street gardens that we just listed here. Just to give you all an idea of what we have done to date on signs and street gardens. So, any questions on that? There it is. So his daughter is a teacher in Millbury, and I don't know what level, but you can see that's a whole different side of the brain than I have. So, okay, next slide. There we go. So there's a couple of them. They all look very much the same. They're all within a foot or so dimension, that stone wall. One of them got too big, but that'll be a secret which one that is. So there's 7 of these around town. And next slide. We go through and do flowers in the spring. We do stuff in the fall, clean them up again. Next slide. So then Mike got an idea to do something for police. So you can see how he's mapped it out in a little hose there or something, rope. I don't know what it is. A hose, there you go, to get an idea what he was doing. And then he figured out how many blocks he needed. And there it is today. So again, he's got this side of his brain that I don't have. He put a lot of blue flowers in there for the police department. All right, next slide. So same thing at the fire department, and he put some more red flowers in that one. So that's kind of the idea. And the fire department guy.
Quiet your cleverness.
Very clever. And very clever.
Very artistic.
So when Mike said he had the idea to do this, I contacted Mike at the station and I said, your light is good, but it needs to be a little taller to get over the plants. Within days, they had that ready, and it took us a while to get there, but we got it done. Next slide. And then there's these pots. Some of these pots, you can see the town hall. You can see the one on the left is Mendon Street there. There's some of these at the corner of Elm Street. And here, it's just 3 locations is where the flower pots are. So some of them that, the ones like on Mendon Street, Mike takes the plants out and puts trees back in that he takes out of those pots and plants to his yard every year and brings them back in the winter. So that's kind of where they come and go. So we're getting a lot of bang for the buck out of beautification. So I think that's the last slide. Yeah? Oh, no, more street gardens. Here we go. So the top center is down by Pratt Pond before, and then the lower left is Pratt Pond now. And you can see all the plants that we put in, and Mike did those brick paver areas, which we truly think would be a better place for signs than actually on the plants, but we're working for. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. He's got an idea about getting some of those dog screw things that go in the ground so people could tie their sign down to it so the signs don't end up in the street.
Low, no matter how big they are.
Yeah, it's a work in process.
Oh, those earth anchors, like you
Yeah.
dog to the yard,
Yeah,
you can earth anchor that simply, I think.
Yeah.
In a couple spots to hold the sign down.
All right, so that might be the last slide. I don't know. Is there another? Oh, another street. So that's Grove Street and Mendon Road, right?
Oh, right, that's Grove Street.
Oh, it is. Yeah, Grove Street. Yeah. So that's a before and after. Yeah.
But they had planters then back in, they had 3 planters been going there.
Yeah.
Above ground planters.
So we dump truckloads of dirt and build up the garden and just still make it so it's not a visual impairment to traffic or anything. Is that the last slide?
Never ends.
Oh, no. So then Mike got involved with down the cemetery down here and worked to do this out at the entrance,
Yeah, he's working.
at the entrance way there. I think this is the last slide.
Yeah, once you do
Come on,
it,
let's keep going. One more.
Is that the last one?
Okay.
All right, so that's a little bit of background on Men's Club and planting and what we do. So now we can get back to the welcome Upton sign request.
Yeah, so we, first of all, I want to apologize again for last month. And Kristen had actually emailed me the 6 o'clock and I'm back. Thank you. My calendar, we showed up late and I apologize. We walked in, everything was approved. And then when we actually went back and looked at it, it wasn't completely, we were confused by that. So there are 2 items on there that weren't even discussed at the time. I think that there was a point when Kristen and I were talking in the beginning, I was saying that we were going to try to do the install. After bringing it up to the bulk of the Men's Club was like, well, I don't know, there's a lot of things going on, putting the signs up on the busy roads. They may not be up perfectly. If they don't stay up, then the install is not gonna be right. So you know what? I think that these guys are professional. Maybe they should do it. And the gold leaf part of it is more of a longevity and visibility thing. It far more reflects the lights at night and it far more lasts longer than just the regular paint that would be put on there if we didn't do the gold leaf. So I don't know if you have on the estimate.
We have an estimate of 20,345.
Yes, so that's really what we're presenting to ask for, to replace all of the signs in town. I know.
23 or so.
Yeah, they've seen some years. And originally they wanted a 50% deposit, but Kristen had said to me that it's really, the towns don't do that. He understood that. He works with a lot of towns and said that he would just go ahead and purchase the material, get the signs going, and then just wait for a balance at the end. So that's where we are. We asked for you to give us a go ahead to go with the full sign package, and it's in your hands. Questions?
Go ahead, Mr.
I just want
Rosenthal.
to speak as a citizen, not as a member of the club. Might sound silly, right? But when I go by these, it actually makes me feel a little bit better about the town. When I go by the signs, and I compare them to other town signs, I actually feel Upton. I think we're all aware of Upton in the past couple of years has become a more desirable place. And not that the signs and the flowers do it, but I mean, again, as a citizen, I appreciate Campbell for all his work. I appreciate Bill again for his vision. And I appreciate Steve for making his presentation. I hope that the town, through the 4 of you, see the value in this. And I hope that the town is willing to, replace as they are, because they're gorgeous. The signs are gorgeous. And the effort, again, that Mike puts in and in the watering, it's an effort, and I hope that you're open to maintaining it and keeping it the way it is, because it makes me feel better when I drive in and out.
Yeah, I thank you for that. I mean, I view this in my sort of way of thinking of it as a symbiotic relationship, right? Like these trust accounts that were set up by citizens for use by the community in this town, but right, by private citizens that donated their own money for various purposes. We don't have a way to use that money effectively without you all doing the work, planning the projects. Now, that's not to say any citizen out there could come to us and say, we would like some beautification funds to do a project. They don't. They're just, individuals aren't doing it. The people that are doing it are you all. And so I really do see this as, you know, a partnership and a way for us to, like we have tried to figure out with the welfare trust, right? Like finding ways to distribute and use this money for the citizens of Upton can be challenging. So when we have the opportunity, I always like to take advantage of that opportunity. So certainly I support this.
To the chair, can I ask a
Please.
question? The amount is over $20,000. Does that trigger any of our procurement laws?
We
From
have,
the trust, I wouldn't
through
imagine.
through the chair,
Please.
that is, and we've given a lot more than that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just didn't know.
I thought this was coming out, you know, that the town was gonna pay for this, and yes, then it would have to go out to procurement.
Okay.
But it's
Through the
coming
trust fund.
through the trust fund, you know.
And I believe the Harvey J. Trask Trust Fund was specifically left for beautification.
right.
Community purposes.
And I do think we want to figure out what the right funding source is. Now that it's this amount, right? Like I want to know how much is in the beautification fund and what we need to do to use the Trask fund. That, I mean, that has over $200,000 in it. And I think we want to be strategic about how we use it, but I also think that this is sort of a bird in the hand. So we should figure out whether it's through the beautification fund, through one of the select board trusts, or through the Trask trust fund for beautification,
I
that
thought
we can
that.
fund this in full.
Please. The chair, you know. I thought the trust fund was for general purposes.
I think it was for beautification.
I think we
Part of it.
had, I think part of it was at the select board's discretion for beautification and improvements.
Yeah.
And then I think the bulk of the trust fund does have other ties to it. It's
Yeah.
different.
Because we,
But I think there was initial maybe $250,000 that we had at our discretion.
yes,
Whether it was anything that was needed in town
Yeah.
besides beauty.
yeah, and we had talked about using that too for some of the work on the town common, exactly. So we want to make sure that we're, you know, aware of what the potential outlays are from this fund and that it's appropriate, so.
That's actually on my list. And I've had a conversation already with Lynn about trustee of trusts to make sure that we get basically a spreadsheet going that states the funding uses that are allowable for each trust, shows what your balances are, what's been appropriated and what's been expended. I think it's just going to require a little research, but we can make it simple.
I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I can tell you, that would be the greatest thing. If we could, on a regular basis, have a list of the trusts,
Yes,
the expendable amount, the current expendable amount,
the voted
how
amount.
much it earns every year, and what we've spent it on, and what the options are for using, like.
That's been my goal for 3 years.
And we've gotten it. Right, we've gotten it at different points, but it's always just sort of a snapshot. But it feels like that's just a tool we should have at our disposal. And frankly, I've always thought we should put it on the website so that our citizens can see it. So if they want to do a beautification project, they can, they see it.
20 years ago, it was, don't tell anybody about these.
Yeah, I know, but I think that's wrong.
But no, they advertised it. either,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we
It's
got
the
everybody.
townspeople's money. It's not the select board's money. It's not the insiders inside the town hall's money. It's the citizens' money. So why wouldn't we tell them about it? What are we afraid of?
So these signs have lasted for 23 years,
Exactly.
23 years, the signs.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, just being a past selectman too, there's always the selectmen's trust fund.
Yeah.
But again, whatever you guys decide, thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we can take it as like, if the two of you agree, right? Like certainly we should determine if we support this, spending this money as a board from one of the trusts. And I think the takeaway could be we can commit to offering the money, to approving the money, but the takeaway for us is to figure out which trust we want to fund it from.
Do you want to hear a motion?
I would love to hear.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the $20,345 for new welcome to Upton signs from the appropriate trust.
We have a second and then we can have
Okay,
discussion.
second.
Okay, go ahead.
Chairman, I suggest that if the town is purchasing these signs, that it falls within the confines of 30B. Anything between 10,000 and 50,000 requires 3 votes, 3 bids. However, if the men's club is purchasing these signs, I think you're okay. And I would.
And I think we're
bounce
okay.
that off.
We do not have plans to buy any signs.
But the invoice that you have shows they're being sold to the town of Upton.
Got it.
So in order for us to pay through the chair, it, you know,
Through the men's club.
right. And you're absolutely right on 30B. If it's between 10 and 50, you need the 3 quotes. I've never had the pleasure or benefit of working in a community with this type of trust funds, which is really incredible. So I need to just confirm that it doesn't apply and how the bill should be invoiced. And I can get that information and get it back to you.
Right, so we may need to have him change the invoice to have the men's club on it, knowing that.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Right, we can issue the grant money to the nonprofit, the trust fund money to the nonprofit, and then the nonprofit can pay whatever the bills are.
Right, I'm no way disparaging the men's club or everything all the good things they do for the town.
It takes,
It's just that I saw that the owner was the town of Upton and you exposing yourself for violation.
I was.
It never looks good in Orange, so we don't want to look good in Orange.
100%, we'll
Plus
take that every day, Paul, honestly, like, all day. I didn't even pick up on that, so that's why it takes all of us. Yeah. So, okay, so there's a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous action. So we owe you,
8,000.
what the accounting is and the 8,000, but you're good to go. We'll get it funded one way or the other, you know, and it won't take us long to figure out which.
And
So just,
change, right?
Yeah, just change the name on the invoice so that it's you guys and not the town.
so ballpark, how long do you think it would take you guys to come up with the funds? Because that's what he wants to start.
Take me
Right,
to
yeah.
come up with the invoice.
I think
A day?
Chair,
Beat that?
my recommendation was that he purchase the materials and then bill us for the materials. You already have $12,295 to do that first step.
Like pre-approved.
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation. And in the meantime, that allows you to get started and allows us to determine the funding source.
And I did already go back to him and confirm that he would buy the materials up front and bill once it's completed. So he has already said that he would do that.
He can bill us once he's purchased and received the materials,
Okay.
even just for that portion. So he doesn't have to be out $12,000 or however much the building cost is. He could just do 2 invoices, one for the materials costs and then one at the end for the balance of installation
Okay.
and building and, you know, whatever his overhead.
All right, I'll get back to him on that.
But right, if
Do
you
we
get an
need to have
invoice,
anything changed on any of the paperwork or invoices based on what Paul said or anything like that? I want to make sure we're.
Oh, the customer name has to be changed.
I will confirm. I mean, either way, you're still giving town money to a project. So that's my question is, does it even matter who it's addressed to as
Yeah.
opposed to? So
Yeah.
I know you updated the quote. I will get you the answer on the invoice in short order.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I did, may I speak?
Yes, of course, please, Mike.
And so a lot of the work for me is not, planting the islands in the ground is so nice and enjoyable because you weed them in the beginning of the year, maybe you weed them again, and they don't really take watering. And when you put a new plant in the ground, you have to water a little bit for roots. But the planters in the front of the building and on the 2 roadsides are above ground, and the wind whistles around them and drives them up fast. So very often in the heat of the summer, they need to be watered daily, certainly every other day when drenching. So that is a lot of work for the committee who does the gardening, right? So I'm looking for a little assistance on that so a little bit, every time somebody hits one of those, we put it to rest. It's like we're dwindling down now. So if the answer is nobody can help you with that, that's the answer. That is the answer in itself, in my opinion. And, some of those the islands are beautiful. I don't know, the value of the above ground planters is a little late, too laborsome for it's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. for
Yeah,
me.
and
Yeah,
frankly, I do wonder in some of those spots if you could even take out the concrete and put soil in so that you could do in the ground plantings. That's another, I mean, that would be right. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of work up front, but then it's easier to maintain. So
yeah, these two are very small and they have cement and.
whatever Dennis has said or committed to is gotta be the answer. I mean, I can't.
He is
Secret.
online.
He is.
Oh, he is here. Okay.
Just.
I feel like we talked about this last time, so I don't necessarily belabor it, but Dennis, where are we at with these?
Good evening. So DPW said we would commit to taking care of the ones at the town hall because that's something. I have a custodian in that building Monday.
Dennis, we've lost you.
Yeah. Okay.
You might be
So,
getting
yeah,
worse.
that was my recollection was that the ones associated with the building, we could take care of because there's easy water source right there, right? But anything that's sort of remote or out and about around town, I think he doesn't have the capacity to manage.
I put a 55-gallon trash bucket in the back of my truck.
Yeah.
Or two, and I fill them up in my house.
Yeah.
And then I drive around.
Okay,
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
code enforcement, vote on electrical permit fees.
The chair, Mike Antonellis is here, Director of Police Inspectional Services, as well as our building commissioner.
Yep. Lynn?
Evening. Again, Mike Antonellis, Director of Land Use and Inspectional Services, with me, John H. Building Commissioner. You have in your packet tonight a fee schedule for electrical. It was, we discovered, because the town gets so few applications for multifamily dwellings in town, that we actually do not have a fee structure set up for multifamily as it pertains to electrical. So electricians pulling permits to do multifamily had no idea what to pay. So we're here tonight to rectify that, so they know. John, do you want to go over what you've provided, what you suggested?
So I propose to keep in line with the way our current fee schedule works is based on the size of the service in each unit, price of $150 for a 100 amp unit or $200 for a 200 amp unit. That also is somewhat in line with what we charge for a new house. Each dwelling's a house. The fees also line up with a lot of our surrounding towns. Every town does it differently.
Am I looking at a?
Keep going.
Right?
Keep going.
The new fees are at the bottom.
Homes, commercial, I see
Keep going, you'll see multifamily 3+ dwelling.
It's after commercial.
multifamily, 3+ dwelling.
3+
Okay, that's the one I'm looking at. Got it.
Everything else was our current
Thank you.
schedule.
I
at
got
the end.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Got it.
So the fees I propose match up, what are sort of in the middle of our surrounding towns. Every town does it differently.
Comparison that she made today. So Upton's fees are on the bottom.
So Grafton charges $10 per 1,000 on the multifamilies. Milford does it 2% of contract value. Hopedale's just $200 per unit. Westboro has a calculation based on amperage and a minimum fee per unit. But the schedule I proposed puts us sort of in the middle of all these towns. These also somewhat line up with what a plumber would pay on a multifamily as well.
Without being too onerous on them, I hope.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
We did send the schedule out to our electrical inspectors. They didn't provide any comment back on it.
Did they see it?
Yes.
Very good. Motion?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so take a
I-
motion.
I move that we accept the new fee schedule provided by the code enforcement officer and land use director. At what, for the multifamily 3+ dwelling units.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Next, we have planning board crosswalk and sidewalk discussion for each state 17 lot subdivision.
Hello again, Mike Antonellis, Director of Land Use and Inspectional Services here. At the request of the planning board to talk to you about this this evening. So what you have in your packet, you should have is first of all, a cover letter from me explaining what you're looking at tonight, but also a draft plan for what is proposed. Planning board is reviewing a 17 lot subdivision located on East Street Estates, located on East Street, going to be named East Street Estates, which is right across from Rockwood Meadows. The developer is requesting a waiver from the local subdivision rules that requires on-site open space / recreation. So in your subdivision rules and regulations, when you propose a new subdivision, the developer is required to dedicate some area to a park or a playground within that area. So they're requesting a waiver from that. In lieu of that waiver, though, it was suggested that they look into, instead of providing, again, that on-site, because they are within range of the, is that Peppercorn Hill? Peppercorn Hill Conservation Area, the gravel parking lot, to provide a pedestrian connection that will get people there. So in your rules and regulations for subdivision, all subdivisions are also required to have sidewalks. So this subdivision for 17 lots will have a sidewalk. There are no sidewalks on East Street Estates. But this was a solution that was offered to provide some connectivity, but also provide that connection to existing recreation resources such as Peppercorn Hills. What I would ask the board tonight, if you would like to give the planning board an opinion, is not necessarily are you okay with this as it is shown exactly tonight, but are you supportive of the idea in theory of providing a crosswalk across East Street Estates and then extending sidewalk to that gravel parking lot? Because that will be town infrastructure that is then taken over by the town.
I have a question. If they're putting 17 lots on, they're not putting a playground or open space, are they getting extra houses?
No.
No. So the land would sustain normally 17 with open space or a playground or what have you.
Yes.
And if we, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. To answer your question more directly, is there's no like density bonus, right? So they're getting an extra lot, I'm sure, because they're not providing that on site, right? So they're probably getting an extra house out of it by not providing.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Are they able to skirt? I probably shouldn't say skirt, but if they had to provide the open space and they only have 16 houses, are they now getting 17 houses?
Yeah, they might lose a house if they were to provide it on site. But the reason why I answered initially as I did is because oftentimes in town bylaws, there will be a density bonus for like providing something or not. So anyway, sorry, go ahead to the chair.
Are they paying for this sidewalk?
That would be the agreements.
Who will maintain the sidewalk once it's there?
My assumption, but that can be worked out through a land development agreement with the developer. We can get to all those details, but my assumption is because it would be town infrastructure, it would be cared for by the town. But you also have Dennis on. I don't know if Dennis would want to. A sidewalk to I think it's a gravel parking area. Yeah. In order to access the trails over there.
I mean, presumably whatever they would do would have to be compliant. Right.
It
Town-
would
The
be,
town's gonna own
it
it.
would,
so-
but that's an extra sidewalk they have to plow.
It would just be one piece of a side, that would be the only place on East Street where a sidewalk would exist, am I correct?
Correct. Yeah, I believe you don't have any other sidewalks along East Street. And I did reach out to Hoppington because while this would be entirely within Upton, obviously you can see on that plan, the Hoppington line runs right through the middle of that plan. I talked to the planner in Hoppington. They don't have any plans to extend sidewalks from, was it School Street on the other side?
Yeah, like by.
Yeah, so.
So I know there's one spot right there that's real narrow. I don't know whose side it's on, but I know every time you meet somebody, there's a telephone pole right there and it can get a little dicey.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead.
What's the planning board's opinion?
I mean, well, they wanted your opinion obviously tonight on it, but they're generally, they're
You're
generally,
the planning board. We don't plan subdivisions. They do.
well, then this would become town infrastructure that is governed by, yes, yeah. But, I mean, they're okay with it so far. This, they just wanted to supportive of it is my sense of them. They have not taken a vote. It's more just
We'd
kind
talk
of,
about it if they weren't generally supportive.
exactly.
Just said no.
Exactly. But so they wanted to come to you now because they don't want to say, yeah, go ahead and design all of this and we'll have it. We'll start engaging engineers to really dive deep into the details of this thing and spend everybody's money if it's not even of interest to provide this.
Chair, has DPW, fire or police remarked on this? I mean, at the end of the day, DPW is gonna end up maintaining it.
Yeah,
Have they made any comments or thoughts?
you have Dennis on.
So through
Dennis,
the
do you
chair-
have a comment on this? Have you seen this plan?
I have, I have a couple of comments. For the most part, I'm in favor of it. I understand. I understand what it's looking to accomplish, and it does provide access to Peppercorn parking lot, which I think is beneficial. My recommendation to Mike and to the planning board was that it be constructed of concrete. I'm not in favor of asphalt sidewalks. They deteriorate too fast. They're tough to maintain. They require too much work. As far as snow plowing goes, there are sidewalks in town now that the DPW does not maintain during winter operations. We don't plow, we don't have the means or the resources to plow every single sidewalk. And this most likely would fall into that category.
That was my
Yeah.
question and guess as well. Okay.
Question for the
Yes,
chair.
ma'am.
This is development. Is there gonna be any type of HOA? So in other words, if there was an HOA, town's not clearing the sidewalk walk in the winter, but could the HOA be responsible to do that?
I can explore that question. I don't believe there is an HOA proposed for this because it's not you typically we see the HOAs with a senior housing development or some other, something other than a standard single family subdivision. Yeah. Yes. Mhm.
I'm certainly, generally agreeable to it. I think it's great to provide access for families there, particularly if they're families with children. I think it's great. They're going to be using that space. We want to encourage them to use the space. So for me, providing clear, safe access to 17 Upton residents to Peppercorn Hill is as good as building a little playground for the 17 houses. So
Through the
I'm
chair,
okay with it.
as long as the DPW doesn't have to maintain them in the wintertime.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that police, fire, and DPW are generally agreeable to putting a crosswalk on East Street.
They know more than us when it comes to that stuff.
They sure do.
Yeah.
Defer to them.
And certainly this is not, even with what is generally a warm reception of this idea, I would, it's not a certainty, even after tonight, because we will get more into those details, ensuring through traffic engineering that what can be provided as across the East Street can be provided for safely.
Yeah.
I've already heard from concerns from residents about even the bend that's shown in this map, the angle of that road with the angle of the sun during certain time,
And if they're not going to do this, presumably then they have to go back to what the original bylaw requires.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, any other questions?
You guys, question on Steve's, I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready.
Someone have a question online?
Yes, I have a question. Jeannie Brooks, 3 Cranberry Circle. When we come out of, we live at Rockwood Meadows. When we come out of Rockwood Meadows to turn onto East Street, you really can't see the traffic coming around from the Milford way. They come so fast up that road. It's really, really dangerous. And we've had a few near misses there, and I'm sure other people in our neighborhood have too. So I'm concerned, where would they put the crosswalk? I'm just concerned about the safety issues because it's not safe for us to come out of our street at the moment.
Yeah, and that's why we sort of want to engage DPW, police, fire. The state obviously has to review, I think, crosswalks and things like that. No, maybe.
On state roads.
Standard. Yeah. There's certain standards that the state has for.
Yes, exactly.
So it would meet that, and it takes into account. Thank you for that.
My question was, my observation was similar to previous speaker that you drive like hell on that road.
Yeah.
But that's a tough place up there. Okay?
Yeah.
I thought I saw in that drawing, it was supposed to be a flashing sign or something like that, which is, again, something else. That, what it's worth, town is still gonna have to maintain.
Yeah.
And, and you just mentioned, you got 17 houses there. So let's say you got 54 people. Just, how many of them do you think, what, kids aren't gonna go play, it's not a playground if they're walking in the woods, I think a little bit of thought, more thought, probably go into this.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, chief.
Is the subdivision road an accepted road, like Cloud Hunt, or is it?
No, it's a proposed development. It's not built yet.
Is the town going to accept that road? Not accept that.
The plan would, I would assume that like any development, eventually when they're completed with the project, they would go to the town for road acceptance.
Rockwood's not, you have other roads, in town that are. So is this going to be a town accepted?
Yeah, through the chair. The intention of this subdivision is that after that, the subdivision road is, they would be looking for town approval and acceptance. I don't think it would.
That means the town accepts the maintenance of the road, maintenance of the drain, the sidewalk and all that.
Yeah.
That parking lot that we're talking about, that's an Hopkins, that's not a gravel parking lot.
Most of it, yeah.
Yeah, the line is on the plan.
What it makes that area difficult to travel through is the trees.
Yeah.
If the cut is not wide.
Yeah. So
it gets worse as you get close to Watertown and Hopkins. So.
Thank you. Was there somebody else that had a comment? Yeah, go ahead.
This is Barry Lynn from 66 Rockwood Lane. I live in the Rockwood Meadows. Again, concern about safety, like the Brooks had commented. I've gone to the planning board meetings since the Holy Street thing has first started, and we've been talking about it. And the rules were from the planning board with 17 homes, they don't really have to do anything on the roads. They don't have to do a traffic study. And so we've been going to the meetings to tell them this is a very heavily traveled road, especially during rush hours. And you're talking about children. They're going to be living in this development. I've got to tell you, you got to be concerned about kids crossing that road. And if they had a traffic light there, that'd be a different story. But a crosswalk, it could be dangerous, very dangerous. And it doesn't sound like the planning board is going to do a traffic study because they don't have to for 17 homes. So just be aware of that, okay?
Next up, we have Conservation Commission Crosswind Grant of Easement. Hi.
Mary Overholt, I'm conservation agent, and this is an easement that's already in place. It was granted by Crosswinds, and we just discovered, the original intention was like for Rockwood Meadows to have trails through here, and that the language was not written properly for that. So working with Eastland, they have updated the language. And it now says, exclusive right of the public to use the access for passive recreation. And the Conservation Commission may establish, maintain, repair, and replace trails. So this language was added to the easement. It needs to be voted on by the board and signed. And if you want to, this is kind of a quick schematic, which I believe I submitted. It just shows the conservation land back there. There's trails there. They're not really developed. They're kind of just people that use. Yeah. This would be.
To the chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
There's some controversy with neighbors. Has that been resolved before, or where does that stand? Do we know? And does it affect this?
So the one set of neighbors, they have already granted an easement, a partial easement, and this is another piece of easement, if that makes sense. And that's the only people there is, and then this easement is in two places, and the other easement, there's really no plan to put a trail there. But it would change the language for that easement as well. It's, yeah. The easements
are all the neighbors happy? Or do you know?
I guess I'm not completely sure.
Any other questions?
I would make a motion that we sign the easement granted by Crosswinds Property LLC to the town of Upton.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
We already got the conservation sign, but okay, so this is for the chair. I had prepared a separate one, but we have conservation, so that's better. Then we can get everyone on the same page.
Literally.
Literally, yes.
Next up, we have Historical Commission and the Holy Angels discussion. The Historical Commission here? Yeah. Hey, Craig.
And I think we're gonna have to go ahead and make a motion to open the Historical Commission meeting. It looks like we have more than enough for a quorum, so I'll make a motion to open the Historical Commission meeting.
Second.
Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. This is just for reference, the warrant.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, I know we've been kind of going back and forth and discussing the situation with the Holy Angels Church. Kristen and Dennis and the Historical Commission have been kind of discussing it back and forth. So I thought it might be helpful for us to just kind of sit here in person and kind of discuss it, because it's kind of a complex subject. There's a lot of balls in the air and a lot of moving parts. So we thought we might just get together and talk about it and see if we can figure out some sort of a way forward. So so I had printed out the Warren article, and I also have a couple of questions that I'd like to address to the board, and also Dennis. So we had some funding issued for the Holy Angels building and also the Rustine building through a warrant article. I think it was back in 2023 or 2022. It was for $200,000. And we used some of the funding for the Rustine building, which was painted, and it looks beautiful right now. As I'm sure you've all seen, it's cleaned up and it looks nice. So the remainder of the money is now available for the for the Holy Angels building, or the former Holy Angels building. So we had discussed some possible options of either painting the building or putting on a new roof on the building. And Dennis Westgate had stated that the way the article is written, that it can't receive a new roof. There's only enough funds to paint the building because the building will require fixing some rotten boards. And before it can be painted, the boards need to be fixed. You can't paint over the rotted boards, and there's not really enough money to kind of go ahead and paint the entire building. So the Historical Commission met with the CPC, I think in 2025, and their recommendation was that we should try to work towards stabilizing the building, make sure that there's no further damage from weather. I know we had a really harsh winter this past winter. So we'd kind of like to get to a point where we can stabilize the building while we discuss a future use for the building. So that's kind of why we're here tonight, to kind of discuss possible ways forward and see what you might suggest. And I know there was some complication or some complexity regarding funding the Racine building and also the Grove Street Bridge. So I think Dennis had mentioned that in a previous meeting. So I was wondering if we might be able to get some clarity on that and what that situation is and how much funding we currently have for the repairing the Holy Angels building currently, if we can paint it, if we can put a roof on it, what the situation is, if we could possibly, if we can't do any of those things, if there'd be a possibility of maybe putting a tarp on it to protect it from further future inclement winters that we'll have coming up, and maybe the Historical Commission could provide some funding for the tarps and have the DPW put the tarps up there just to keep it from leaking if it is currently leaking. So those are all some topics that we wanted to discuss. And also there's currently a oil tank in the building in the basement which has oil in it. So that's an environmental hazard, a health hazard, and probably something we should address sooner rather than later. And I think Mike Marshing.
Our next agenda item.
Yes, sorry. Oh, that's your next.
Yeah, take removals.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So yeah, so I just wanted to put forth that I know it's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of complexities here. So I thought and it's difficult to discuss over email. So I thought we'd maybe just kind of sit face to face and just kind of talk about it and see what the options are. What's reasonable, so.
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Please, go ahead.
Now, 2.5 years ago, you were going to set up a 501(c), which was to fundraise, to pay and defer some of the costs to the building.
Yeah, but that's a separate kind of, because we're the Historical Commission, so that's a nonprofit group that's doing that separately. So we're just discussing things from the Historical Commission's point of view tonight.
Please.
I do believe we had extensive discussions last fall on this, and that it did not get put on the warrant because of the engineering determination. But I do believe the best person to speak to this would be Mr. Westgate.
Okay.
Dennis, what's your take on this building?
Good evening. So there's quite a bit of information that was just discussed, and I want to, before we do any further discussion, I want to bring accuracy to all of it because I think it's important. First is the Racine building. The Racine building had, first of all, for clarification, there was an original draft article that was written that included both buildings. But when we went to town meeting, those two buildings were separated. So those were two separate warrant articles, one for Holy Angels, one for Racine. They are not combined. Those funding sources are separate. Two, when we did the Racine building, it was during the time when we were looking to use up ARPA funds quickly, because if you recall, that was the time that our finance director was in fear that the state was going to pull the funds back on us. So we utilized the funds from ARPA to paint the Racine building with the understanding that we would replace it. In the article for the Racine building, anything that was left over from painting it was supposed to go towards funding the Grove Street Bridge. All that has happened, and there is still a remaining small balance in that account. Off the top of my head, I think it's around $10,000 or $12,000 in the Racine building. So that project is complete, and those funds remain. and could be repurposed through town meeting. Holy Angels has an article that I put forth that was designed to scrape, prime, and put 2 coats of paint on the outside of the building. This was before we had forgive me, the company Criterium, I think it was, come in and do a full analysis and update us on the condition of the building itself. When they did their assessment, they disclosed that there was considerable water damage to the sides, specifically the east side of the building facing the river was in such deplorable condition that the paint wouldn't even stick to it. It would peel off within a year. So a considerable amount of work would need to be done to fix the compromised structure on that building before we were going to waste $50,000 otherwise painting it and staining it, painting it, scraping it, pressure washing it, and painting it. So that money, all of 100% of that money from that article remains in that line, in that account that was authorized by town meeting. If you look at the language for that, that was specific to the maintenance and repair of the envelope of the building, which is the outside of the building, meaning it was for scraping, painting, and it even calls it out in the article itself. It was not the intent of the article to do any other repairs inside the building, the foundation, or the roof. So to repurpose those funds would require town meeting action. Off the top of my head, I don't recall exactly what the balance is. I think it was in the high 50s, low 60s, and 100% of it remains. In my opinion, based on the Criterion report, if you look at the last documents that I presented to the board before the last fall town meeting, when we had a very long, candid discussion about the disposition of that facility, we talked in great length about a lot of the items in that report. There are a couple particular items that reference the roof itself, and it says basically that in order to, first of all, it concluded that there are indeed still active leaks in that building, the majority of which are around the flashing of the chimney and the flashing next to the bell tower. And the majority of the water intrusion is coming from the bell tower itself. So the recommendation, if you would carve out just the part of the roof of the Criterion report, it was to repair some rafters and the top of the roof and redo the roof with snow and ice shield and shingle it, and then seal the steeple. The roof was $175,000 and the steeple was $35,000. That was their estimate a little over a year ago. I would say those costs are probably still fairly accurate. It wasn't that long ago. And that's where we are.
Yeah, so that's well over 200,000.
Okay. Just as a point of clarification, I was a little confused because I thought there was only one article and so 2, but I could be mistaken. So I was just curious about that.
I believe the warrant article, a question was raised on the floor when that was presented, and it was split into 2 categories on the town floor, because I think I asked the question, how much for each building and what are we doing to each building? Because it wasn't clear at the time. Okay.
And there are 2 separate accounts through the chair. There are 2 separate accounts containing the funds for those buildings.
I think question that we're bringing to the table tonight is how do we move forward with sealing the building to protect it while everything else gets discussed, whether we discuss the full exterior restoration, whether repurposing, which could take another 5, 10, 15 years. None of us know at this point. How do we seal the building right now so it does not deteriorate any further through another winter with the funding that we have? Do we carve out a more specific quote request of going up on the roof and sealing all of the holes in the entrances that are allowing water ingress into that building? And can that be done for the money that we have approved without putting a whole new roof on, without painting it, but to seal it so that it doesn't deteriorate further?
To the chair, am I correct? If I remember the report, the trusses are not safe. Am I correct, Dennis?
There was an issue with the trusses, I'm trying to recall, but I remember in the Criterion report, it called out for correcting some of the The roof itself did not meet today's code. So there was concern over snow load in today's code. So I know there was definitely some work that they had called out for to the trusses, and then of course architectural asphalt shingles, all new flashing, new snow and ice shield, replacing any of the rotted plywood that was on the roof, and then sealing the steeple. And to speak to the previous comment from Ed, and I do agree with a lot of what Ed is saying about if we're going to hold on to the building longer and still talk about doing something with it, then we probably should be having some kind of a conversation about should we be doing something to try to stabilize it, because every year it's going away a little more and a little more. You could definitely utilize the funds, but you'd have to go back to town meeting to reauthorize the procurement of those funds, because the funds were appropriated specifically for the scraping and painting of the outside of the building. So if you want to use those funds for anything else, it's going to require town meeting action.
Well, it's going to require town meeting regardless, because the amount of money that we're talking about is over $200,000 that we're talking about redoing the roof and the bell tower and all of that. So it's yeah. So
through the chair, people don't realize asphalt shingles are petroleum. And we all know the price of gas and why it's going. I got oil delivered today. It's very exciting. You know, so, and that's the unknown in the future. Is it gonna go up? So, I mean, we had a quote for the roof last year. You know. It's
But
crazy.
I'm
But
asking without replacing the whole, doing what. the
Dennis, she knows there any way to get up on the roof or the bell tower and do some type of seal without it being tarped. You know,
not putting tarps on it.
no,
Through the chair.
I was gonna say that.
do you know? I mean, is this something? I don't, you know, we've got quotes, we've paid for quotes. The problem with, as we all know, with municipal finance, we can't spend money without town meeting approval. So we would, if we needed a new quote, we would have to go to November meeting, which is gonna kick the work till May, because then you get a price, and then you get a price in May to approve whatever you want to do.
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
about the snow load, that they're worried about the snow load. And if you're gonna just seal it, that doesn't take care of the snow load that could take.
Yes, but the chair is Lee. I guess we're looking for a compromise. The building stood for a lot of years. I don't think anyone expects it's gonna fall down in the next year or two. We had pretty good snows this winter. I think we've got this whole issue that's been bantered back and forth for at least 2 years heavily. We're just asking them to go up there and seal it, so water is getting in while the whole future of it is debated.
Without rehashing the conversations we've had over the past couple of years on this, I'm going to say very clearly, between Laura and Maureen, you have to decide what you want to do with this building. I did everything I could do to advance what I thought was a good idea, and it didn't work because you two didn't support it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. There were good reasons for that at the time, and I have no qualms about that. But I would like to ask the two of you to think about what do you want to do with this building, and then let's talk about if we can get agreement to that from the Historical Commission amongst ourselves first, and then execute on it. Because to just continually talking about Band-Aid here, Band-Aid there, Band-Aid here, years pass. I mean, we've somebody literally just proposed putting a tarp on the building in the center of our town. Like, are you kidding me? For 10 or 15 years? Like, we just have to decide what we want to do. We've got all the information we could possibly need.
Now, we had a quote last year. The reason it didn't go to town meeting was it was a little over 3 million. And with the repairs, and all of the overrides, we didn't think the burden was appropriate to put on the townspeople. I do believe we have care and custody. We also have groups that have expressed interest. Should we auction the building and see if one of the groups, people have to understand, when a municipality goes out to bid, we have prevailing wage, we end up with OPMs, and we hear this all the time on town meeting floor. I work in the private sector, why is your quote a third or a half too high? It's because of the state laws. So we have a quote for a little over 3 million. Common sense tells me an individual could do it for maybe 1.5. So do we relinquish as a town, do we see if we put it out for bid and for auction and see if the parties that are interested buy it? If I'm not mistaken, if we put it out for auction, it goes for whatever the bid is. Is there a minimum bid, Kristen, do you know? Or does it just go with municipal buildings?
And I would just ask, like, is that even an option to auction off the building?
Yes.
It is. So the select board does have the authority from town meeting for disposition, which would be sale, lease, et cetera, of that property. There aren't a lot of municipal auction firms out there, but there are ones that do it. And it has been done before. My understanding is you can set a reserve, but you don't have to. When you're doing an auction, you want to get the highest bidder, obviously, and that's the person that's going to win out. But it really depends on who's coming in and bidding on the.
And if we were going to put it to auction, I assume or I don't know if you're okay with that or not, but if we put it out to auction, are we putting it out to auction with any conditions, or auction it off and you can tomorrow, or you have to keep the building envelope, or this isn't a question for you, this is a question for Laura and Maureen.
Well,
I know.
that's why I asked about 5013C. They were supposed to be raising funds to help offset the cost, not $20,000 for utilities.
That's not the condition, that's the 140 arts.
That's the 140 Arts, but they're involved in it too, and that's how, they were the first ones to come forward.
I've seen land, so I don't know the answer, Brent, but I've seen land sold with a contingency that it needs to remain as prime land for 100 years or X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
I have seen properties sold
Yeah.
with a restriction that the structure needs to remain,
Right,
but
and,
could be turned into.
right. And I guess
house,
that's what I'm
a
asking is,
store.
are you suggesting?
So, but I don't know how municipal works. I only know how private.
It's a private sale, not a public.
Well, how many times have we already gone out to bid for this?
We did
We've
some
got to
RFP,
bid,
we
got to
did-
some
we have
We
done some
did
RFPs and
nobody
RFQs,
wanted.
so.
We did 3
Yeah.
RFPs, I think.
Yeah.
And we, 140 Arts was the only one who submitted an expression of interest.
And that was with all those contingencies in it. So I'm quite sure that if we wanted to auction it off, we could auction it off with conditions, right? Like you'd have
I
to talk to
don't
the,
believe
you have to
in
talk.
the public sector. I can check into that for you, but my understanding is it goes to the highest bidder. That's why you try to do an RFP if you want to put conditions on it. Auction is straight dollar based. It's
Got
like
it.
an
Okay.
invitation for bid, essentially.
So then let's hypothetically say if we decide to auction it, we auction it and there's no conditions, and are you okay with that? Or would you want to think about that more?
I think.
I kind of hope that 140 arts would step forward, but I don't know.
Well, but if they get outbid by a
They get
dollar, then
outbid by a dollar,
and somebody
yeah.
comes and demolishes it the next day, we can't go, oh, that didn't work the way we thought it was gonna.
That's a question.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions in the audience. Okay, go ahead.
They voted to buy the building, they voted to paint the building, they voted to fix the roof, they voted to do 2 structural reports. There's been a lot of people who have said they want to keep the building, so it's hard for me to think that we could just decide should we auction it or should we do it. I think what you need, if you want to save it as a building, you should have to put preservation restriction on it. I think that could certainly be done, and then it could be auctioned, and then it would be protected in that way. But the thing that I feel to myself, I look at the article and it talks about the money for was cleaning and paint and maintaining and repairing the exterior care of Holy Angels. Would it be possible to use that money to fix the exterior and paint it, and then maybe go to CPC for the roof? Because that's money that's already spent and wouldn't have any impact on the tax.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Mr. Westgate just said that was specifically for painting. And the
Right.
question now becomes,
So
is there any way to seal the roof? So that, because really what's causing the damage is the water intrusion, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I don't know where to go from here. I mean, we can put it back before the people in November and say, we have X amount of dollars. We want to, I don't even know if sealing the roof is feasible. I don't know.
Just to add on that comment, I know the first image that comes to mind with, when I say tarps, is like blue ugly tarps, but you can get black tarps where it would look similar to our existing asphalt roof, so it wouldn't be like, whoa, what's that kind of a thing.
We don't want to wrap the belt.
The bell tower would be a problem, but it would at least provide a little bit.
Chief?
You gotta, the town, not the board of selectmen, the town needs to make the decision of what we want to do. They've made some different moves because the sentimental, I've spoken about it with the building. The town's got to decide if we want to put billions of dollars into that building and have billions of dollars of upkeep. Building. We have a lot on our plate just to try to keep the ones we have up and running. And I'm talking about new buildings.
Yeah.
That I personally, I spoke my piece about the building and that, but I do know that the town is at a point where how many more buildings that it's another building to maintain, it's another building to worry about heat, air conditioning. I think if you.
Nobody here is talking about keeping the building. We're talking about auctioning it
No,
off.
I know, but I mean, I think the taxpayers need to decide what they want to, if we want to put millions of dollars into that building. I don't know.
We didn't let them vote on it in October. I don't see that we would vote on it in
No.
November. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Flaherty. Go ahead, Mr. Flaherty.
When this article from the 2019 town meeting, when the town took possession of it, the enabling article gave the board of selectmen the authority to dispose of it if they saw fit.
I understand.
So you don't have to go back to another town meeting.
That's
to
right.
do this.
That's correct.
But as long as everybody understands that.
That's true.
And I think just to repeat. And
Hang on a second, Mr. Phillips. Town manager, please.
That's all I was gonna say. You have the authority based on the 2019.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Just to clarify our position, we are not here asking the town to put millions into that building. We're here asking for a way to protect the structure of the building until some purpose, auction, sale, something arises. And right now, the building, it's evident from Mr. Westgate's statement that the steeple section is where it is leaking and presumably rotting wood, and that's the heart of the problem. I'm not asking to wrap any kind of tarp around that building because who wants to drive through Upton and say that represents Upton? That would be terrible. But to get some contractors to quote on going up there, inspecting it and giving us a bid on what it would take to protect and enclose the holes in the openings. And I would think that could be done for $20, $30, $40, $50,000, which is available to us. And that would secure the building and let it sit there for another X amount of time until some better solution is found.
I think we've already hired that criterion to come in and do their thing with it and spent money. And we've spent money before that. We still are at the same point as where we were back then.
No, we don't.
No.
Well, Larry, it's well over 200 just for the roof. We do not.
What we have available is $60,000.
It's not through the chair. It's not just painting, Lori. It's the wood has rotted, there's holes in the building.
I didn't hear you. What?
We have the numbers in the criteria report, they said 5,000, 50,000 for painting it, and only 3 for fixing the repairs on the outside.
The whole east side of the
Yeah,
building.
I think
needs to
that,
be
but I think the
taken off.
painting assumes that you've repaired the
Right.
damaged part of the building, which is a different number than just the 50. Yeah, no, I'm, yes.
I mean, just because we voted, seems like it's right.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the end of that.
Because the town meeting voted for it. And I think it was even represented favorably. I know it seems like a lot of money has been a lot of expenses and that sort of thing, but to not let it go on town meeting vote because we're afraid it might pass, that's not really
It
fair.
wasn't that we were afraid it might pass. There's going to be a very loud collective gasp when people see their tax bills in January.
Oh, I know.
And last year, we knew we had just approved. We had 33.3 million on the schools. We had 450,000 on this building. And we knew we were coming in and we had 2.5 million for the initial DPW. And at some point, you have to protect the pocketbook of the town. And that's why we voted at the time. It goes on and on. It's a ghost. That's why we voted, not to put this, select board did not choose to put it in front of the people because it wasn't a matter of, to be good stewards, you have to be fiscally responsible.
That's why I'm not suggesting any new money. I'm just suggesting money that was already voted for painting and repair and then CPC, which would not be.
The only way it can get done is on a new warrant article. We cannot choose that. It was not appropriated for that. It was not tagged for that. We cannot take money that was for one column or one pot and put it in another. It's illegal.
It's for repainting and exterior repair, is the way we're in.
That doesn't.
Not the roof.
But if I may, through the chair.
Yes, please.
Sure, go ahead.
You can't paint that building. It has been determined due to its current condition. You could be throwing whitewash at the building that would run right off. So I think we've already agreed that. And that's why I'm saying, I think the only option that we have to stay within the limits of the money that's been approved is to seek a couple of contracts that would say, we'll go up on that roof and we'll seal all the holes for X number of dollars, let the building sit. Not put a new roof on it, not paint it, not replace the siding on the east side that's damaged because there isn't enough money for all that. I agree with the engineer's assessment that you need to do all these things to make the building perfect. And we are not here as the historical commission asking to make the building perfect. We're just asking to seal the leaks so that there's no further deterioration. Until the next step comes up.
Do you have any interest in repairing leaks?
If there's a way we can get a quote to repair the leak, and then in November, because it would probably take the summer to get some quotes in, and then in November, the money works to repurpose to fix the leaks, I have no problem.
Well, I do, because now you got big holes in the wall and the water's coming in anyways.
Right, but if it keeps it standing for another,
What? How many years?
probably 150, I don't know. But the rate we're moving, I don't know. I would, but I don't know, Kristen, I don't know how to get, I don't know how that works technically.
In terms of,
Do we,
Sealing the roof and,
so how do we get quotes?
right, if Laura and I agree, hey, you know what, let's figure out
I'd say
sealing the roof, what's the process for? us to
sealing the
do
roof, sealing the bell tower, making the top of the structure waterproof.
so the first thing you would want is at least an initial quote to know what ballpark you're in with procurement. And it would either require 3 quotes or going out to bid and advertising, so.
What they were proposing is that they repurpose the money that's already voted to paint to do the roof.
Right, but they would get quotes first, so we would, in other words, if the quotes all came in and said, hey, to seal the roof, it's 200,000. It's a moot point because then the money wouldn't
Even
cover it.
Say they repurpose it and it comes in at 50,000 or however much money they have.
Yeah.
What about the walls that are full of holes on the east side? Now you've used money to seal the roof.
We'll get there one step at a time. Dennis, if we wanted to have the roof sealed, I'm doing sealed in air quotes, like weatherproof the roof in whatever minimalistic way we can we're never gonna put a tarp on it. Without you know, this, you know, what would that look like? And is that sort of a viable, small incremental next step that we can take to just sort of protect the building in its current state by sealing the roof in some way that is aesthetically appropriate?
Well, we already have quite a bit of work done on the investigation part of it. So Criterion went in and they did a pretty thorough investigation on where our issues are regarding the roof. So if we brought in an outside vendor like a Gale Associates or a Weston and Sampson or another contractor that specializes in roofs and envelope structures, we could probably coerce them into giving us a pretty decent, I should say decently priced quote on what we'd be looking at to seal up. Are we looking to just seal the roof as it is and not do any structural? So we're not talking about changing the rafters or anything, just stop the water from coming in, right?
I think we're just talking about stopping the water from coming in, assuming that it's something that will last at least several years and isn't going to need to be redone every year. Like, I don't want to just go and throw bubble gum up there. Like,
right.
I'd want to protect it in a way that it's going to be good to go for another 5 years.
So they'll probably consider that most of the asphalt shingles are decent enough to go another 5 or 10 years or 6 or 7 years, and they'll go after the areas where the intrusion has been identified, which is around the flashing, around the chimney, the soffits, and the bell tower. And they would be able to probably give us a pretty accurate price on what we'd be looking at to just seal that. Now, would the remaining money from painting it be enough? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, no, but we don't know what we don't know. So let's get,
right.
I would support getting that number, right? So getting the estimate of what it's going to take to seal the roof. And then once we have that number, we can continue the conversation. Does that seem reasonable? Not committing to anything?
We're not committing to anything, just to get a number.
Yeah.
And if it works with repurposing, then the next step is to go to town meeting.
Yeah.
And the townspeople have to decide whether or not they want to repurpose that money for that purpose, knowing the condition of the building.
And I'd want to get an estimate, you know, like how long does it take to get an estimate like that? Because I feel like in the past, sometimes things have sort of gone till the 11th hour. Like, I feel like we should be able to do this pretty quickly. How long do you think, Dennis, to get a sense of what the cost would be?
Well, I'm going to be asking, when the first one's always at the mercy of the contractor, because we're not promising them anything. They're coming out and they're investing their time for nothing and giving us a ballpark and helping us with the scope in hopes, and their payback is if we put it out to bid or we go out for 3 quotes, they get a shot at it. And hopefully they get a good shot at it because they helped write it. So probably a month. I would say probably 30 days.
Thank you.
All the respects of, other than town building expense account, where do you plan on getting the money to get this number?
That was my question. Will people just quote it? Like, you bring in a contractor?
Dennis, did you hear the?
I did. So this is a through the chair. This is a 2-part answer. The first part is we're looking at a ballpark. This is not something you can really take to town meeting. This is something to decide, so you can decide as a board whether or not you want to take it to town meeting. It's a 30,000-foot flyover number, but it's going to be accurate enough to give you an understanding of what you're probably looking at. You can get that number for nothing. That number won't cost anything. Now, to get the accurate number to go to town meeting with, that requires a design. That requires plans, stamped plans. That's going to require an engineer to get involved. That will require some funding.
And how long would that process take?
I would try to include, because it's all done at once, we would obviously try to include that in the article for doing the work to the roof. So let's say, for argument's sake, they think the steeple can be sealed. Let's use Criterion's number, 35,000 to seal the steeple. And let's say the flashing work and other things around the roof are another 20,000. So for, I don't know, $55,000, and they think that it's the top of the building is weather tight. We can include in that the cost of the engineering. So we can, if they say it's going to be $20,000 to $5,000 worth of engineering services, and getting us bid documents and ready for bid, then we can add that to the article and do it all at once. It's not that big of a project where it's got to be phased out.
Okay, so we wouldn't necessarily have to do that before we went to the town meeting to say, hey, here's what we think we want to do. Do you want to do it? We could
No,
do
you could-
that after.
You could do the whole thing at once.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. Okay, does that, so the initial one is, we're just gonna sort of get someone to help us out. And go from there.
I have one more, one more question.
Please, sir.
Just to push the issue one step further. Does the board not have the authority to do emergency repairs without the entire process?
Well, Kristen can probably.
That would not qualify for an emergency repair if it happened like a tornado came through or you had some type of weather event that caused it. If it's been leaking for an extended period of time, that would not fall under emergency repairs for procurement.
Once we repaired the roof 4 years ago under the emergency repair.
Yes.
It was a $1,500 repair, but the roof was leaking. And from everything I'm hearing, the roof isn't leaking. It's the steeple, which was not touched at that time.
Got it.
I believe a few years ago when we did the emergency repair, we found that one.
Yes.
And that was
The soffit,
where it came.
soffits of the steeple or something, I think are all rotted and
So that, you know, when the hole appeared, that qualified for an emergency, but the fact that we know the bell tower and the roof have been leaking for many, many years.
Good idea.
Good to know.
Good idea.
Yeah, you gotta throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
All right. Anything else? Otherwise, our next step is to wait 30 days. Well, get an estimate for the next 30 days for what it costs.
Hello,
We'll get it on the agenda.
hello. I have a question.
That's something on.
Oh, hold on.
Question.
Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. As I think both Maureen and sorry, my head's gone. Laura said, we've been discussing this facility for many, many years. And when it went out to bid initially, nobody was interested because there was nothing it could do with the church. It required too much repair work. So nobody was interested. So if you were to put this up to auction, it seems to me the only people that would probably bid would be 140 Arts. Where is their funding from? Because as I think Laura said, we are, all of us, and we're seniors living on a fixed income. Our tax bills are going to rise dramatically over the next couple of years with the things that we've agreed to, and we voted for all of them. So, you know, that's not an issue, but there is a limit to what we can do. Now, I have no issue with historical buildings. I am a historian. I love old buildings, but there comes a point at which you have to say, take the photographs, remember the memories, and it's time to say goodbye. And that's what I
Thank you. Anyone else? Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'll make a motion to close out the historical commission meeting. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we've got tank removals from 3 Main Street and 142 Mendon Street.
I asked if Chief Marsham would be here to speak to this.
Yes,
We did
sir.
receive a couple of quotes. The total is approximately 13,000. We don't have a funding source at this time outside of fall town meeting, or if we did a finance committee reserve fund transfer.
So during the inspections of being involved with both the Trask property and Holy Angels, we noticed there's a tank, 300 and something gallons, 330 gallon tank that's literally less than 10 feet from the river that needs to be removed. The tanks haven't been used in a number of years. We are in violation of code on it. They don't have to be removed tomorrow because have been deemed as leaking, but tanks are gonna go. If it had to wait to the special town meeting, if we're gonna have a special town meeting, I suggested going back and with the town manager, ask for CPC funds. The town has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in buildings we don't own. These are 2 properties that we own. So, you know, I think a request from CPC would cover that. I don't know about the reserve account. So you could wait to the special town meeting, but I brought it up before another couple of years have gone by. They gotta come up. They gotta go.
I think if we have no funding source, then we need to go to, sorry, to the chair.
No, we're good.
I still think I'm in charge, Brett.
No, you can be as in charge as you want. I'm happy to
I
share the
think,
podium
it
here.
looks like with no funding source, we have to go to town meeting. And
Yeah, that's
my
fine.
understanding is if God forbid they spring a leak, it's an emergency and then we fix it in the meantime, but.
No,
it's
no,
like
no, you would have to like remove them, but
Yeah.
there's not enough in them they gotta be removed. They're not full, they're not like, in a tank that we have to worry about. That one's.
We definitely all support removing them. There's no
Yeah,
doubt
we
about
do.
that.
Yeah,
But I
but
think
I suggest somebody writing an article, maybe the town manager, to write an article requesting CPC funds for the next town meeting, but whether it's a special town meeting or the annual town meeting. I'm sure.
I don't know if it's gonna be, well, I don't know what the funding source will be, but I think we can agree that we should come up with an article for town meeting for the fall to make sure that these tents are taken care of.
I would agree. I would
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
while we're on the subject of our fall meeting, I was thinking, we had a really hard time certifying free cash because our meeting was very early. I looked at the calendar. I wondered, usually it's the first Tuesday or Thursday of November, and usually free cash is certified at the end of October. November 19th would be the Thursday before Thanksgiving. I know years ago, it used to be closer to Thanksgiving. I don't know what it would take to move town, the November meeting to maybe November 19th, which I just happened to pick that because it was a Thursday.
Well, I don't know how this is on the agenda for tank removals.
Oh,
but-
it's not. Well, we were talking about town meeting, but I don't know what type of notice we
We do
need.
have,
I mean,
we do have.
let's face it, we're already planning for November.
We clearly are. I mean, I think.
Oh, the issue,
And, Brett, in a couple of years, you'll be my age, and then you'll realize that when things pop in your head,
Just go.
you need to go off the ball
I
for
love
their,
it.
they
where do you get to my
See,
age?
I have it.
So let's figure out when we're gonna have a November town meeting. Okay, that's your job. That's your job.
Just through the chair. I mean, the issue is when it gets later in November, you're putting a burden on the assessor's office and the treasurer collectors because they have to have those by December 31st.
Okay. So you know all the administrative steps associated with all the different activities between you and the finance and all that. So what say you?
So I'd recommend we put it on the next agenda, and I can check with the moderator and the town clerk about those dates. If we normally do a Thursday, I can ask about, the 19th and possibly the Thursday before that. And it is, at your purview.
But does this like, I just want to make sure we're actually solving a problem. Like the problem sounds like are we does this mean we're gonna have free cash because we've waited another week? Is that what we're hoping happens?
That's kind of what I was hoping
Yeah,
happened.
so I don't think it is gonna
I
happen.
don't think that would make much of a difference.
No.
I mean, my only concern is having it closer to Thanksgiving, get people that are traveling.
Yeah.
But I can certainly ask. I just would want the moderator and town clerk available.
Free cash certification issue was an aberration.
Excuse me, why?
Free cash certification issue was an aberration. It's always been certified September, October, and all the time we've been doing
So
this.
this year was just the anomaly.
Yeah, okay,
All right.
great. So tank removals.
And I think with respect to the finance committee reserve account,
Yes,
first off, you can't pay anything from the finance committee reserve account. It has, the finance committee reserve account, you have to transfer money to that, to an existing line item.
Yes, sir.
And second of all, and more importantly is, two criteria for finance committee reserve account are sudden and unforeseen, i.e. water heater broke today.
Yes, sir.
I got a hard time, with all due respect, to my good friend, the chief over here. We know this has been there for a long time.
So November it is.
November.
Okay, anything else on tank removals?
Yes, if I may through the chair. It does not qualify. I did check with Kenny on CPC funds. It doesn't qualify because those break down into the buckets of historical versus open space, and I'm drawing a blank on the
Historical.
It's not, well, my understanding is it's not preserving the historic nature of the building, you can do it if you're basically making repairs to the historic, parts of the building.
Yeah.
I would recommend it be a free cash article.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Good.
Trask property.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's not on the agenda, but Mr. Trask, left this nice piece of property up there and a couple buildings.
Yeah.
Dennis has been trying to save the fields a little bit.
Good job with that.
You know, we put up plaques everywhere, and stuff like that. You know, I think something of that property needs to be looked at. It's not my lane. I'm just bringing it up. I don't know who would do it, but, I think something should go on that property. He also gave you funds to be able to do that.
Very nice. Gifts to the town.
I really think that, something should go up there on a rock or something, or, because you don't know what's gonna happen with those buildings, but, I practice. Yeah.
Good.
But,
Good idea.
we were talking about road signs and all that stuff tonight.
Right, seems like it's right in that alley.
Yeah, it's just a mark,
Some recognition.
yeah, something that isn't gonna go anywhere, when we're all dust to dust, and it's the, people know, hey, this was donated.
Yeah.
And those trust funds.
And that's beautification money to do it.
And
It's strange that we could use the money that they donated to make a sign honoring their donation, but I think we could.
And if you drive into Mendon, they've plowed the fields just past Misco, and that is the Shirley Smith Agricultural Center. They will sign up this weekend.
Did they?
Really?
But it's
It's impressive,
amazing the
yes.
constitution of a field that was.
Yes, it's always been protected and, they've got the sign up and now it's.
Okay. Thank you. We're gonna move on to town manager updates.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
With all due respect, I would want to put my name.
Yep,
on the
he's all set.
second edition and happy trash.
I hear you.
On that topic, just through the chair, I can put that on a future agenda once we sort out everything with the trust funds with Lynn that we're working on. I think that would be a good time.
Good.
All right, town meeting.
Do we have a public comment session?
It's after
Oh,
the
look at
town manager report. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
said,
we're gonna probably move that, but
It's interesting.
go ahead.
I'll make it brief. You do have the written report in your packet. As we know, we're through town meeting and the town election, and the DPW debt exclusion and school override both passed. We are currently in open enrollment.
8:07.
Employees can make changes through May 31st for their benefits. We had a personnel board meeting. They looked at some job descriptions and proposed policy updates. We do have current job openings in case anyone's listening and might want to apply. We are looking at seasonal labor positions, a heavy equipment operator, program specialist and firefighter paramedic. Program specialist is the ESS program specialist that was approved at town meeting. And currently onboarding 54 Kids at Play staff. So a lot going on, 2 communication officers, 2 seasonal conservation field assistants, and a paramedic firefighter. I am also researching a request from the Historical Society to use the first floor of the Racine building, and we'll be coming back to the board with that when I have a little bit more information for discussion. Also looking into future use of the former senior center, as we've been receiving requests from groups, including Fuse, to use that. I understand the town has a lease, and it's not currently maintained, so we'll need to have a conversation about where to go with that. Also working to close the Forest Heights conservation restriction that Sudbury Valley trustees and Metacomet Land Trust are seeking to acquire. And working on, as we just signed tonight, the finalizing the land donation to the Conservation Commission for 2.3 acres on George Hill Road. That has been voted on by both the Select Board and the Conservation Commission to accept as a donation. The title search came back clean, so we are going to move forward with that land donation. Charter and Comcast both have contracts in Upton. I haven't seen it before, but we do. So I met with KP Law to get an update on the new 10-year cable license agreements on both. Comcast had previously offered the town a 1% annual rate without capital funds, which is consistent with the existing license, given the small subscriber accounts. And council is reaching back out to them to see if those are terms they will still honor, as they are reaching out to Charter, who has offered the town 3% annual rate without capital funds, which would be similar to the 2.25 annual rate and 20 billion capital agreed upon previously. They're moving away from providing capital funds to the community. So the increase in annual funds would help offset that as well. So once we receive confirmation that they can still honor these terms, we'll need to hold a public hearing before the select board to discuss those contract proposals. I have my first tea with the town manager on Friday, May 1st at 9 a.m. and I had about 20 residents who came. It was a great discussion. We will be continuing that the first Friday of every month at the community center at 9 a.m. for anyone who'd like to stop by. DPW will host a hazardous waste day on June 13th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I've been continuing to meet with various residents, boards, and committee members for the meet and greets to discuss key issues. Finally picked back up with those again, now that we are past town meeting. As I noted in the email to the board, at this time, the UCC kitchen may not be used for cooking food by any entity other than town departments until we have an updated policy that I'll be bringing back to the board for review and discussion. The Board of Health is also working on a plan for the opioid litigation funds that we have received that will be brought before the select board at a future meeting. And just a caveat, trash bags are no longer available in the Board of Health office, but can be purchased at a number of locations in town, and more information is available on us.
While we're on the, if I may, while we're on the, a lot of people don't realize you can buy town trash bags at Shaw's in Northbridge and Price Chopper in Hopkinton. Go to the service desk and they have.
Very good. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. Anybody left that has a comment?
It's me.
Please, Mr. Wood.
You stay to the bitter end.
Yeah, you saved the best for last.
There you
That's
go.
right.
There you go.
I'm here to invite you to the program. On Memorial Day, this coming Monday. We'll honor their fallen veterans
Thank you.
from the town.
Thank you.
I'm the chairman of the Veterans Committee. And the program will start 8 a.m. Monday morning, Lakeview Cemetery. I believe there's coffee and donuts, 7:30 at the VFW. You care to show up early.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah,
We'll be there.
okay, oh, thank you.
We'll be there.
Thank you for participating.
Yes.
Yes, we will.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wood. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Good to see you, Russell.
Yeah, Paul.
Take it easy.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Good night. Okay, we're passing over approval of regular meeting minutes. Are we going to approve the executive session meeting minutes of May 12th?
That's fine.
I make a motion, we approve the executive session meeting minutes of May 12th, 2026.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous action. Thank you.
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting at 8:13.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
And congratulations.